The darkness doesn't care what time it is. But you should. When the shadows grow long and the investigation begins, trust the timepiece that's built to keep pace with every moment. Lorayo watches. Combine timeless style with dependable performance, making them the perfect companion, whether you're in the studio, on an investigation, or simply living life on your own terms. The mysteries of the unknown may never be solved, but you'll always know what time it is. Lorayo watches, proud sponsor of the Unholy Podcast and the Unholy Broadcast.
From haunted houses to cursed artifacts, from whispers in the dark to battles you'll never read in scripture. This is the Unholy Podcast, hosted by Doug Owen, author, investigator, and survivor of one of the most harrowing real-life hauntings ever documented. Each week, Doug pulls back the veil between this world and the next, sharing stories that aren't fiction, because he lived them. Prepare yourself. The silence is over.
All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Unholy Podcast. I'm your host, Doug Owen, and tonight we're joined by paranormal researcher, investigator, producer, and documentary creator, Michael LaCiana. Michael's journey into the paranormal began in 1978 when he captured a disembodied voice on a reel-to-reel recorder. Now, that experience launched a lifetime searching for answers and ultimately led to the creation of the Heritage Hunters Society. Over the years, Michael has investigated historic locations, documented paranormal activity, and created the documentary series, The Heritage Hunters Journey Through the Past. Now, this is available on Amazon Prime Video and YouTube. He is also developing a new series titled Haunted Frequencies. So, Michael, welcome, and thank you so much for being on the Unholy Podcast.
Hello, Doug. Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me on. Great pleasure meeting you.
The pleasure, believe me, is mine. So, let's start at the beginning. Take us back to 1978. What happened on the day that you captured that disembodied voice on your reel-to-reel recorder?
Yes, great. Thanks. So I had never had any paranormal experiences growing up as a child. Lived in a big home with a lot of folks, seven people in my family. And I always had a fascination for ghost stories, TV shows, movies, anything horror or spooky. Loved everything. And starting as a young musician in my early teens, for some reason I thought I needed to have this Pioneer 707 reel-to-reel, which was about $700 back then, and saved my money, purchased it, and was making demos with my little songs, things like that. And then one day I read an article from a Dr. Hans Holzer, who's a very famous ghost hunter and writer, author, and saying how to actually record spirits. And when I read that, it fascinated me. I'm like, you can record spirits? What? So I followed his steps, and basically he said, take your recorder, plug it into a stereo receiver, put it onto 0, pure static, and let it run. And so I did that, and I captured, maybe about an hour in, I captured a man yelling and screaming bloody murder. I almost thought it was like a plane crash or something going down, but this was no microphone. This was plugged through static. We didn't have cell phones back then and different things and computers. So I captured this, and it was pretty thrilling and scary at the same time. And once I realized that, what I captured, that kind of really put me on the path all these years. And I've been very fortunate to travel and capture many things over the years.
That's fantastical. That's just absolutely mind-blowing. So what was your immediate reaction when you realized there was a voice on the recording that shouldn't be there?
Oh, it blew me away. It just freaked me out because, like I said before, that I had zero experiences up until age 14, and once I heard that, and like I said, this was a man yelling and screaming and cursing. He was saying curse words I had never even heard before at 14.
Yeah, right.
And so it really blew me away. And of course, I had my best friend come over. He listened to it. He couldn't believe it. And that really, right at that point, 1978, I knew that the paranormal was real from this one recording, because this was a 2-hour reel-to-reel tape, and I listened for into an hour before that's where we finally captured this thing. So it was fascinating, and it's put me on the path of all these years. And I love audio. I have a recording background, being a musician, and used to work in a recording studio doing demos with my band and things like that. So I love the audio end of the paranormal, and so I focus a lot on that. For some reason, I'm very blessed to capture a lot of EVPs over the years, so it's really fascinating.
Nice. So prior to that recording, had you ever experienced anything paranormal before in your life?
Absolutely not. Absolutely nothing. I was oblivious, typical 14-year-old oblivious.
Right.
But after that, I went to the library and I pulled every book I could on. I always loved the Bermuda Triangle and any kind of stories, and I pulled everything I could possibly find on the paranormal, and I just started reading, and I've been reading all these years, and I still love to read more than anything. Everybody else likes to watch YouTube and be on the computer and get their information that way, but I like to read an actual author's book. I love authors. I love the art of it, and you really can really get into a story better reading somebody's book.
All right, you've twisted my arm. I'll send you a copy of my book. I got it.
All right. I knew it would work.
Well done, sir. Well played. So tell me, what were some of the biggest challenges that paranormal investigators faced in the late 70s and the early 80s?
Well, we didn't have computers back then, so if you weren't on the TV show, like my favorite show was In Search Of, and different shows like that.
Leonard Nimoy. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it was my favorite. And if you weren't on TV, there was really no way for you to really find out anything other than reading books and going to the library, and maybe you'd see a clipping or something in the newspaper. But other than that, we didn't have any type of, really had no place to share anything. It wasn't until the beginning of computers when probably the first computer I got was 1994, 96. And when we had AOL dial-up, and I remember we had these little chat rooms, and they would people would have little nicknames, and you couldn't even post a picture back then. So many people remember that, but the younger generation now, they have no clue. And so that's how I kind of started finding people locally in my area here in North Carolina to meet and work with and go out and investigate. So,
isn't it interesting that spirits, specters, ghosts, goblins, ghouls, poltergeist, entities, vampires, witches, demons have existed since the beginning of humanity? However, up until about 3 or 4 decades ago, you go to the library and you can count on one hand how many books are out there that you can find on the supernatural, the paranormal. Isn't that interesting that it's just kind of become a phenomenon? But it's almost as if in the 50s and 60s, nobody wanted you to learn about anything that was beyond the normal.
Oh, yeah. It was sacrilegious. If you came from a religious background with your family, you weren't to talk of it. I have some close friends that had experiences in their homes as children, and their families told them, "Do not talk about that. That's crazy. We don't talk about that." And so it's and now fast forward all these years. Look now, everybody and their brother is on TikTok trying to post something. And as far as credibility, I don't know what. I'd say 90% of what's on there is garbage. It's not anything real. It's about, we're the real investigators, real core folks out there. We're a very small number these days compared to people trying to be famous on the internet with stories. I don't want stories. I want evidence to share, and then I can add my story once you look at the evidence. That's what I'm interested in.
No, absolutely, I agree 1,000%. And looking back, if you were to look back, what do you miss the most about the early days of investigation?
That's a good question. Probably that not so many people were involved in the paranormal, because the folks I'm very blessed to work with 4 or 5 teams that are not connected to my team, and we've been working together for about 18 years now. So we've built friendships, had barbecues, went away on vacations, and still to this day investigate together. And anytime I get a really good investigation, I'll call them up and I'll invite them, and vice versa. But I liked when it was more of a more niche subject, and not like it is now, where everybody and their brother is throwing stuff out there. It's and me and my friends talk about this a lot, and I talk about it a lot on other radio shows as well, with more seasoned folks that are a little bit older, and we all feel the same. That it's we've always called it the dog and pony show anyway.
Yes.
All these years, so it's nothing. It's just, it goes through different generations, and this next generation, they know everything. They know everything there is.
Right. Isn't that the truth?
I don't want to know everything. I want evidence to share with people, and then together we can talk about it and see what our different thoughts are. I love the people in the paranormal, the real core investigators, because I've met some of the nicest people, smart, amazing backgrounds, medical, law enforcement, authors, musicians, great people that you meet if you really connect with the right folks.
No, absolutely. You can sustain relationships for a lifetime. It's
Yes.
pretty great to see that. So in 1992, you relocated from New York to North Carolina. What drew you there?
We were ready to get out of New York. Me and my wife were dating for a long time. She actually worked in the Twin Towers, and we're really glad that we moved.
Right.
And that first year that we moved, that's when they tried to blow up the Twin Towers first time from the bottom. And so we just, she had worked on Wall Street, and so she was kind of burnt out from that. I'm a plumbing contractor, and I was in the plumbing field. So with my trade, I can go anywhere, which was great. And we had read about the Carolinas, and so we came down to visit before our wedding in August, and our wedding was September. And we loved it here, so much so that we actually rented our first apartment before we were even married. And so as soon as we were married, within that few weeks, we were packing up and moving back down here. So we loved it. And we've been here since '92, and we love it here. And there's getting a huge influx of people coming here from everywhere now. But it's still a great place to live. I really love it.
So how did North Carolina's rich history influence your paranormal interests?
Oh my goodness, it was a godsend. It was amazing. There's so many historical places here, and here everything is free. I mean, you don't pay for museums, you don't pay to go to battleships and forts and different things like that. So I loved history growing up, and so I started traveling around to all the historical locations. And as I was doing that, I started having some paranormal activity at these locations. And that's when I said, I've got to find a way to put the history and the paranormal together, because to me, it goes hand in hand anyway. And that's when I created the Heritage Hunter Society to research and study the paranormal.
So was there a particular location that convinced you there was something unusual happening in these historical sites?
Well, just really the historical aspect was what I love. other people get into, more of a sci-fi thing, more of a quantum physics thing. That's not me. Me, it has to be related to history. And my feeling was with the history was it was a way with the paranormal to actually time travel, to go back to these locations and possibly see if I could connect with maybe somebody that's there. Was I going to be able to capture George Washington? I've gone to his home many times. I've gone to Jefferson's home. I've captured some really good EVPs at Monticello.
Wow.
The EVPs I sent you tonight were from the Ford's Theater, which was really interesting, which we'll share later. And so that was my fascination, was to love history. And there's so much history here, from the mountains to the sea. We have Blackbeard the pirate here, and we have the mountains that has all kinds of things. George Washington's been through this whole state and the Carolinas. That man got around. He stayed at just about every place there was. So,
yeah. So at what point did you realize that you needed to create a formal investigative group?
It was probably when I started to see there were more shows out there with teams and paranormal things like that, and then as the mid to late 90s and the internet was taking off and I was starting to communicate with other people, that's when I decided if I wanted to put some kind of research group together. And I did see a lot of the young groups that were out at the time. They were watching all the TV shows, and they were really just trying to get famous to try and be similar to those TV shows, and that was not my interest at all. I could care less about that. I really wanted to find answers, and so I stayed away from a lot of the groups, and I saw a lot of drama and a lot of different things that I didn't like, behavior of different people, and because the paranormal is very, very elusive and very mysterious, and with that comes people not behaving properly sometimes. So that's why I wanted to create my own thing where I could really safeguard what I was doing and the people I was working with.
Okay, so when you created this, what was your original mission of the organization?
To see how I could go to these locations, especially my biggest thing was before I'd ever gone there, was to go to Mount Vernon. That was like my ultimate dream, to go to Mount Vernon. I love George Washington, love Lincoln, love Teddy Roosevelt. And so to go to these historical places and see what I could capture there, that was my main goal, and that was the main reason for the Heritage Hunter Society. And then to be able to share it with people and see what other people thought and get other opinions. But and I've been very successful with it. And I've been very lucky to go to over the pond and go to Spain and France and England. Very lucky to be able to travel and go to some of those locations and investigate there as well. So London was my favorite. I love to go to London and investigate there. I have some friends there, and so I love it. Just love it.
Nice. How has that mission evolved over the years, or has it evolved? Or have you stayed true to your course?
I've stayed true to my core. When all the dog and pony shows were out there, I just kept plugging away at what I did, and never letting any corrupt people into my organization. I always had to be somebody that was really original and passionate about what they were doing, weren't looking to hijack me or to jump on my back and just carbon copy everything I was doing, because there's so many people out there like that. And so I learned to really keep it to a small group of folks. My other partner, John Brennan, he's been my childhood friend since first grade. He lives in New York, and so he's part of the Heritage Hunter. And then my other friends that have their different teams, they're all part of my group as well, even though they have their own teams. So really, the Heritage Hunter is like an umbrella for other teams to all work together. That's kind of how I look at it.
Okay, so what, in your opinion, makes a really great investigator?
Someone that is very, very experienced as far as, me being in the service business for the last 40 years, and I go into people's homes every day. I'm a plumbing contractor. I have to go in there and fix their problems, and make them feel comfortable and do all that. So I apply that same approach into the paranormal. And so when I go into people's homes, you have to be respectful. You have to, know what you're doing. You can't just go in and wing it. Over the years, I've helped a lot of families and did a lot of residential. And those people were scared and they thought they had, they were going crazy and different things like that. So that was always key for me to stay on my course of how I approach things. When I go in, I stay very quiet. I use really good audio equipment, good video equipment, cameras. I don't use all these little gadgets and these little toys that everybody else is playing with. They're toys. They're not real equipment. If I was going to say anything of equipment, I like how the military has used different things over the years. And so like thermal video is something I love to use, and different things like that, and different meters. The K2 meters are fine for just going in and first doing a walkthrough. Being a plumbing contractor, I have electrical background, heating and air, and so I'll just use that K2. I'll walk around the whole house of the building and see what's bleeding, what's not bleeding, and then put it away. I don't use that to communicate with the spirit, because you can confuse the spirit very easily with all these different gadgets. And so I like audio, I like video, so I want to capture the best audio I can, or the best photos. And so if you're pulling out all these different gadgets, you're just going to confuse them. They're going to shut down, and you're not going to get anything, as far as I'm concerned. So it's your approach. Your approach is very important.
Okay, interesting. So after decades in the field, how has your view or definition of evidence changed?
Well, I've been very lucky to capture so many great things, photos, video, things like that. It's only gotten, for me, better and better, because now I have even better equipment. Like I use the latest trail cams that have really high-end audio on them. So, and that's great, because I love to set things up and then leave. And I've captured a lot of things when I lock down a building and there's nobody there. And, maybe we'll go and grab something to eat, let the, equipment run, and then we'll come back and investigate. So it gives them a little chance to like, they left. All right, now we can relax, So I like to do that. I use Tesla coils. I use different things to bump up energy. I use static. We started out years ago with just a boom box. And we would go into a room of a house, we'd put the radio on, pure static, pretend, and leave, let it run for about 15 minutes, and then come back in, and you could feel the difference in the room with that static charge. And so I'm looking for any way to help the spirits communicate by giving them energy, giving them the best opportunity to share their message,
So what type of evidence do you find most compelling? Audio, video? What is your gold standard?
Yes, absolutely. I love video, I love photos, and I love audio, and I love personal experiences with them. I love thermal video. We captured something really amazing several years ago. Good friends of mine that have a team that were working with me one night, and they captured a lady floating right in front of them for about 30 to 40 seconds, and they have it on thermal video. And so that's on my first episode of Journey Through the Past. And you can actually see this woman. And he said it started with a ball. He saw a ball in front of him, and from that it morphed into a figure. And it was it blew him away. He couldn't believe it. And he was trying to steady his camera. And looking through a thermal screen is not like looking through a regular video camera, because the colors are always changing and things like that. So he was trying to steady it to see what he was capturing, but he did a great job capturing this thing. So yeah, thermal video, and you don't need to spend thousands and thousands of dollars. They have the small ones for $200 that can hook up to your phone or to your tablet, and I like to put it on a tripod. That way you set it up. If you want to move it around, you can, but if you capture something, then at least it's completely still. It's pure static, capture, and that way you're really going to get the best piece of evidence out of that.
Well, so, that's really fascinating. Now, you mentioned that the ball morphed into the figure of a woman. Would you say that most orbs are simply spirits that haven't become a full-bodied apparition yet? Is that a fair assessment? Is that something that you've seen over and over again?
Well, if you take the word orb in our field, most people are going to think of moisture, dust, things like that. If you're capturing something without a flash and without a light on, and it's emanating its own light or energy, then that's I call that energy. I don't call it an orb. No matter what shape it is, I have things that have captured. I've captured things that have their own energy with no flash, no light on. Even have one that looked like a cross going sideways. It was flaming. It looked like flames, and it was a cross going in two different directions at one time. I captured that. So, majority of orbs, like I always tell people, and I used to train the public on investigating, learn your equipment. If you buy a $2,000 DSLR camera, learn about it, use it now, research it, find out all the features that it does, use it a lot, shoot a lot, and find out what's the malfunctions in it, and what's glare, and lighting glare, things like that. Same thing with video cameras, same thing with audio. Audio, when it comes to me recording, it's usually me by myself or maybe one other person. I cannot stand to have 3 or 4 people around me. Can't do it, because nobody is possible to be quiet in those situations. Somebody's going to make a comment, somebody's going to cough, somebody's going to do this and that. And after the years and years of dealing with that and having to try and figure out, was that somebody coughing? So I eliminated to just me recording by myself or maybe with one other person. So you have to be very strict. As a really good investigator, you have to be really strict so you capture good things. I used to do 6 to 10 hours of investigating in the location. Now, 2 to 4 hours tops. That's all I need, because I go in very quietly. And that, if the spirits are there and you have a good vibe and you have a good connection with them, they'll communicate with you within 2 to 4 hours. I'm not saying that it's going to happen all the time, but my track record, it does. All my friends go, "Man, Michael, you're always catching all this stuff." I stay quiet and I listen and I don't ask a lot of questions. I just, I'm the guest there, so I try and make them feel comfortable. So I think that's important.
That's just amazing. That's amazing. So let me ask you, what type of evidence are you the most skeptical about?
Anything that has to do with these gadgets that are out there these days. This obelisk thing that has all the different word vocabularies. I don't like using a flashlight. People say, turn the flashlight on, turn it off. I've been carrying a mag light on my hip for 40 years. And of course you twist it to make the contact. So for someone to sit there and undo the contact just so it doesn't go on, can a spirit activate it? Possibly, but to me, I look at it this way: that's not evidence. Even a meter going off, that's not evidence to me. I want them to talk to me. I want them to be in a photo. I want them to be in a video. So I want to capture the best evidence in the shortest period of time. So, and the obelisk I studied, I remember when Bill Chappell first designed it and put it out. He put those words in it. 1,048 words were in it, and he handpicked every word. So, of course, I did buy one, and I owned it, and I used it. And after a while, I saw the same words coming up over and over and over. Murder, this, that, drowning. He picked a lot of words. So I did an experiment with it. I made a little magnet energy EMF energy box, which is really just a little motor and magnets, which will help bump up a little bit of EMF. And I put it on, and I put it next to the obelisk, and the obelisk started spitting out every word it had. It was like gibberish. It was like every word that it could possibly say was spitting out. So it just showed me that it was a really expensive EMF meter with a vocabulary. And I always say, anybody knows about the obelisk. If you're a spirit, if you were to die tomorrow and you're a spirit, would you know how to activate that obelisk and pick those words. So, like, are you going to have a little sheet on the other side where you can see the words? So, possibility-wise, it's pretty impossible. That's people are always reaching to try and make things more haunted or paranormal than they possibly are. And what about the law of coincidence? Put that into fact as well. So those type of things I'm not interested in. I tell people buy good, $300-$400 recorder, get a good recorder, and get good cameras, DSLRs and good video cameras. Spend the money on good equipment. Don't waste it on toys and even this this SLS camera thing with the stick figures. I think that was probably the biggest joke I've ever seen. And there's so many malfunctions to that thing. So if you got to spend the money, go spend $200 and get the little FLIR 1 and hook it to your camera. And that way, if you capture a spirit, you'll see, because a spirit will be blue color. It will not be we're orange when it comes to thermal. There's no way we could ever produce blue. And definitely put your money in the right place for investigating, as far as what I do.
No, absolutely. So the obelisk is the paranormal $2,000 speak and spell. Got it.
There you go.
Got it. All right. So have you ever investigated a case that initially appeared to be paranormal, but then in the end it turned out to be a completely natural explanation?
That's a good question. I really can't think of one offhand, but the only thing I can say is a lot of times, like when I was doing the residential cases, in the beginning, people were very genuine. They didn't want people to know that we were coming in, this and that. And then as the shows took off, Taps and all these other shows, now everybody and their brother wanted a paranormal team to come to their house. And to me, it was like it was a form of entertainment for them in the beginning. And so we would have to have like a long list of questions to ask these people before we'd even agree to come investigate. And we had to really research them and see if there was any mental illness or what was their intent for having us come in and things like that. So I did find that there were a lot of families that were trying to use us. And then it really got really bad once the show started taking off, really maybe the late 90s or maybe mid 2000s, where people were trying to have you come in, and they would we would always submit our evidence to them. Well, come to find out, they were taking our evidence and they were trying to sell them to the TV shows and just bypassing us altogether. And they were just doing their little My Ghost stories on TV and sharing our evidence, which we didn't give them permission to share. And so that got really bad. That's kind of why I got away from the residential end, because I couldn't trust a lot of the people anymore. And they were getting paid a lot. I mean, I had one good client that he said, "Oh yeah, they were going to pay us $11,000 for us to be on the show." I'm like, "Well, where's my $11,000?"
Right.
I'm sat there and captured all this stuff. So it got really ruthless, and I was like, "Yeah, I don't want any part of it." And I said, "I'm just going back to what I always loved, and I'm going back to history, and going back to locations." And I love to meet people like the owners of locations, of hotels and forts and different things, and staff, and I love to hear their stories, and I love to get permission to film them and have them share what they've experienced. That's probably my favorite part of the paranormal, is the real interviews with people that have real experiences.
That's exactly what we're all about. Absolutely. So do you believe that history leaves an imprint, a supernatural imprint, on certain locations?
Oh, definitely. If you go to Gettysburg, prime example, there is so much energy there, and other battlefields as well, anywhere in the world. But for me, being on the East Coast, yes, Gettysburg has probably got to be my number one spot to go to. I've had so many experiences. Every time, I think I've been there 12 times. Each time I've gone, I've always had experiences and captured really crazy things. So I love going back there, and it's I mean, I have recordings of spirits saying to me, "Am I dead?" Like I'm talking to them, and they didn't realize they were dead, and so I have recordings of them asking me if they're dead. So they're still, I do believe that they're still in their realm, in their time, fighting, which is terrible. Think about it. Up until, we're now in this present time, and these people are still in their time fighting this war, fighting this battle. That's horrible. So
a lot of people see trauma on the battlefield.
Yes.
Heightened emotional trauma. It seems to leave a lasting imprint, or perhaps even thins the veil between the living and the dead. It's all very beguiling. But so if you had to pick one investigation that would stand out in your mind as the turning point in your career, which one would it be?
I've been to a lot of places, so probably, out of my favorite, I'd have to say I was in the catacombs in Paris, and I was down there for several hours, and of course I brought my equipment with me, and and just standing there over 6 to 7 million skulls and bones, and was wondering, like, who were these people, and what were their lives like, and now they're laying down here in this sewer system, stacked up, and it's done very professionally. It was done to be very artistic. When they didn't just take these bones and throw them down there. I mean, they actually designed it as a tourist attraction in the 1800s for people to go down and to be fascinated by this. So that's probably one of my favorite locations as far as places to go in the world. I would like to go to Japan. I haven't been there yet. Very interesting things there. But I've been to Spain. I've been to England. I love England. Love London. Captured a lot of things there. And it's nice when you get an EVP there because you get the British accent. So on the EVP, and so that really proves, like, wow, oh my God, So that was interesting. There's still many places I haven't been yet. I'm trying to save to go to Scotland next year, and so that's one place I would like to go to Edinburgh and investigate there. So that's my bucket list for right now.
Nice. Yeah, that's a great place. That would be an amazing place to go. So Edinburgh, and then maybe the Highlands, and just kind of tour around Scotland, maybe, and
Yes,
some
definitely.
of that beautiful Scotch. I'm a
Yes.
big fan of the distilleries there. Absolutely. So, have you ever experienced something during an investigation that absolutely completely changed your understanding of the paranormal?
You have some great questions. It really stretches my brain. Well, I think anything to do with children, when I'm dealing with children's spirits, that affects me differently. And so I have captured, where we've had a lot of claims of people saying, they've seen a child at the top of the stairs and things like that. And probably 5 or 6 cases that actually either me or one of the other investigators has looked up the stairs and saw a child. I remember I was setting up in one home that was pre-Civil War here in North Carolina, and the folks were selling the home. They moved out already, and they wanted to sell it as a haunted home through the realtor. And so they said, well, we want to have a paranormal team come in and prove that it's haunted first before we list it as a haunted home. And which we were fascinated. We thought it was really, something different way to sell a home. And so we went in, and the house was completely empty. And there was a claim of a child that was always on the stairs. And so I was in the parlor right next to the stairs, and I was setting up my camera to shoot through the doorway up to the stairs. And there was nothing in the room. And I set up the camera, and I was just looking through the little viewfinder, and I was backing up and just looking. And next thing I knew, I fell over completely. I tripped over backwards, which felt to me like a piece of furniture or something really hard. And I fell, and I landed on my ass. And for a minute, I was laying there going, what the hell did I trip over? But it hurt my back. It was about 3 feet high. It almost felt like if you would take a telephone pole and cut it down to 3 feet high. That's what I flipped over. And when I got out, I was like, I couldn't understand what the hell happened. It actually took me about 15 minutes to even realize what happened. And so that's something that has stuck with me all these years. Being in an empty room and falling backwards over something that wasn't there. So that was really interesting.
Yeah, that would absolutely cause me to rethink it and investigate further. But was there ever a moment in your career of investigating where you questioned continuing to do research or to do something else?
Well, I run a full-time business. I own a plumbing company. I work in historical homes for a living. I have a family, and I love music. So I stay super busy with multiple things. And I love the paranormal, and I keep up on it on a daily basis, if not weekly. The only thing that gets me down about the paranormal is the community that's out there now. That's what really bothers me, that people are just doing this stuff now. And I know people that are making a lot of money per month off of TikTok and different things on things that aren't even real. And they're just fabricating things or rehashing stories. And they get this big following. If they get 100,000 or 1 million people, that's what bothers me. And I tell my friends all the time that I'm so done with the paranormal community. I really have, it's either a conference, and I like conferences, but it depends on if it's really hardcore, really good investigators and speakers and authors that are really, really passionate and have something to share, versus just like the Comic-Con thing where everybody and their brothers just going there to take pictures of the celebrities. Why is there? I always say the only ones that should be celebrities in the paranormal are the ghosts. I could care less about anybody that's on a TV show. I have a small TV show. Who cares? Who cares about me? My job as an investigator is to go find this evidence and to share it with everybody and get the best evidence you can. So I'd probably have to say it's this community right now, but it's been that way even when I first met the paranormal community in 2006 and saw a lot of bad stuff going on. So I've struggled with it all these years, and if I was ever going to leave, it probably would be for that reason. So, but I love what I do, and I really have a good connection with the spirit. So I just do my thing. I could care less what's going on out there with the other folks. And there are great people doing these kind of radio shows and these podcasts are great because you get to meet so many really genuine people like yourself and many of my other friends that have podcasts, and we can share our thoughts and evidence and things as compared to having to go to paracons and different things like that, which there are great paracons out there, but you have to be choosy on which ones you want to go to.
It's true. Yeah, actually next month I am the guest author at the Darkness Con Boise. Now, I'm not just there for, Flash or whatever. I'm also leading a 1-hour panel on encounters. So I'm going to be speaking to the group of people about real evidence, real investigation, not fantasy bullshit. And of course, people want to hear about my book. I'll tell them about my book, my personal experiences as a paranormal investigator. So, there are those rare opportunities that allow us to get the real word out there. And that's the coolest thing. So let me ask you this. Has television helped or hurt the field?
I think it's brought a lot of attention to accepting a lot more things. It's not so taboo now as it was years ago to talk about things openly. I can pretty much go anywhere, and if I'm in the right setting and I talk to the right folks, people are accepting of it, as where in the past, people will just look at you like you were nuts. You talk to ghosts. What's wrong with you? Are you mental?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. But that's the thing is, when most people experience something paranormal, the first thing that we're trained to do is to question our own sanity. Well, you couldn't possibly have seen that. You need more Prozac. Are you feeling well? Are you tired? Do you need a drink? Are you overheated? Do you have to go to the bathroom? It's all of these things. Never do people go to the conclusion of, wow, you had a paranormal experience. So with that kind of idea that's out there, let me ask you, what is the biggest misconception that people have about paranormal investigators?
Great question. This panel that you're going to do is going to be great because you ask a lot of really good questions. So I wish I was going to be there. As far as well, people believe in orbs. They think that everything with their phone, everything they capture is real, and like, oh my God, it's a blue ghost, it's a green ghost. Well, most people don't realize that the lenses on our cameras are plastic, and so they're not very high quality. Even though your camera can take some really good pictures, you get a lot of lens flare, and I see so many people submitting pictures like on the Gettysburg pages, and like, look at this green thing, look at this red thing. I'm like, yeah, that's coming from a source that's reflecting off your camera. So the general public just needs to be more informed. So like, when I go on there, I don't trash people. I just say, I think that's probably from your camera. I said, get a better camera and just keep taking pictures. I said, you never know when you're going to capture something. It's when you least expect it that you actually will capture something really great. And that's the advice I give to the public on any platform, as Facebook or anything, where people are sharing pictures. People want to be, they want to capture things and they want to experience things. So I always share that with people. There's other people that just go in there and bash people. I don't do that. That's not everybody. We all started in the same place. So I always say, we all started in the very beginning, didn't know anything, and just over the years, when you've had more and more experience going into people's homes or going into locations and capturing things, that you build that experience to share with others. So that's why I always like teaching the public. And for a few years, I set up a Raleigh. I own Raleigh Paranormal Society as well.
Okay.
And that was a public group for anybody that wanted to join. And I would take them to locations. I would teach them how to investigate and what kind of equipment to use. I rented the battleship North Carolina several times, take them on the battleship. And so I don't know where I found all this time to do this, because really, I stretched myself thin. But I do believe in educating people that are interested. But there's a lot of mean skeptics out there too that just want to bash people. So those are people that don't believe in anything anyway. So I always get people like, "You believe in ghosts?" and this and that. I'm like, yeah, I've been doing it for many years. I said, and I've had great experiences. So I wouldn't trade it for the world. And then they like push it more on, like, well, tell me one thing. I said, what does the word ghost mean then? If there are no ghosts, what does the word ghost mean? And I've never gotten an answer yet. So
exactly. No, that's brilliant. That is brilliant. Yeah. And I like the distinction of paranormal investigator versus ghost hunter. Some people will say, oh, he's a ghost hunter. No, I'm not a ghost hunter. A ghost hunter hangs out at the cemetery with some device and screams at the ghost and put their cigarette in front of the camera lens so the mist will go, yeah. That's not me. I'm looking for answers. I'm seeking the truth because I'm curious to know what these things were that were so invasive and that blindsided me in my life. And I still don't have the answers. I still look for them. So let me ask you this. Looking back on your journey from that first reel-to-reel recording in 1978 till today, what question are you still hoping to answer?
Well, I've had so many through all my I have 4 computers filled with EVPs, and so 95% of what I have is intelligent, so it's not residual. I get very little residual, maybe the 5%, but I just love to share and connect with these spirits, and so I find it fascinating. The number one thing, and I have recordings with two spirits. Actually, you can tell that they're with each other and they're talking to me. One is asking me a question, the other one's asking me a question, and they're talking to each other. I really like to know, do spirits actually, can you see other spirits when you transition? Can you see your loved ones? Do you reconnect? I'm not sure if you can. I do believe, but in this point in my life, after doing all this work, that we don't have much more answers on the other side than we do here. I truly do believe that, because I get a lot of ghosts that are confused and don't know that they're dead, or and things like that. So maybe we don't get any other answers on the other side. Maybe we don't.
That's entirely possible. So I have one EVP. And it's not really an EVP. It's from a micro cassette recorder that I had set up. Just an old magnetic tape. I asked a question into a darkened corner of my home. And something hissed back at me. I'll send it to you. Because it's very audible, it's very legible. I've tried with every type of program I have to enhance it. But, and I won't tell you what it says. I'll let you I'll let you make your own determination on what it sounds like. But
maybe I can clear it up for you too.
It's very interesting because yeah, you know, it was an immediate response. And I heard it in real life, and it picked it up on the recorder.
Oh, wow.
And there's no, okay, let's, you know, filter this or filter that. It was, you can hear my voice, you can hear the response. And it sounds...
And you heard it with your ears as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And,
so you had a VP as well, a voice phenomenon.
Exactly. It was a VP. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So... That's really interesting. I'll send it over to you. But
oh, yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, I would love to hear.
Yeah, and I'd love for you to you know, give me your input on it.
So, oh, definitely, absolutely. That's I love audio. I love when I capture things. I always share it with my groups, and vice versa when we do, especially when we've done joint cases together on locations. You know, I like to hear what they've captured and vice versa. And yeah, I love the audio because it is the simplest way to communicate or to connect with the spirits through the audio. And like you said, you had it on audio tape. I started on reel-to-reel tape as well. Right. The only difference was it was so hard to transfer that onto a computer nowadays versus the digital.
And it was, and there was some loss, but I believe it's still good. You know, and I've got some cuckoo clocks, you know, with pendulums in the background, but you can clearly hear it. And you know, it's not anything that you really can't hear. But I'll send it over to you. But yeah, for now, let's go ahead and take a quick break. When we return, we'll discuss the Heritage Hunter documentary series, Journey Through the Past, Haunted Frequencies, Spirit Communication, some evidence, and Michael's most compelling case. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
When the world goes quiet, the unknown speaks. Welcome to Unexplained Radio, your home for the paranormal, the mysterious, and the unexplained. From chilling ghost encounters to cryptids, UFOs, and the darkest corners of human experience. This is where real stories come alive, featuring a powerful lineup of shows, including the Unholy Podcast, bringing you raw, first-hand accounts from the edge of reality. Listen now at unexplainеdradio.com. Unexplained Radio, where the truth is never what it seems, and the silence is never empty.
Millions of people turn to search engines like Google asking, "What is life insurance?" But they are ignoring the most terrifying phantom of all, the dark entity of financial ruin. When you vanish into the spirit world, do not leave your family to be haunted by bills they simply cannot pay. Banish the uncertainty, contact a professional, secure their future with the Don M. Adams Insurance Agency. Serving Idaho, Oregon, and Washington, call 208-955-6370. That's 208-955-6370.
The experiences discussed on the Unholy Podcast are not fiction. They are drawn from lived events. Doug's first-hand account of a sustained haunting as documented in the book, The Unholy Silence. The book details the investigation, the psychological toll, and the impact on his family. offering a deeper look at what happens when paranormal events move beyond theory and into daily life. The Unholy Silence is available worldwide through Amazon in paperback, hardback, and ebook formats. For those who want the full account, the story begins there. Visit author DougOwen.com for more.
All right, welcome back to the Unholy Podcast. I'm your host, Doug Owen. And before we continue tonight, I want to tell you about my memoir, The Unholy Silence. Now, for over a year, my family and I experienced terrifying and unexplained events inside our Idaho home. What began as subtle disturbances became terrifying evolution. We had encounters that challenged our beliefs, tested our faith, and challenged our sanity. And these things changed our lives forever. Now, if you would like to learn more about this, you can buy my book, The Unholy Silence, or you can simply go to author DougOwen.com and you can read about it there, you can see about it, you can talk about different experiences and learn about what I had gone through. And you can see my future appearances and upcoming projects. That's author DougOwen.com. So now, enough about me. Let's return to our very special guest, Michael LaCiana. And so, after decades of exploring, do you believe that we're closer to understanding the paranormal phenomenon, closer today than you were back in 1978?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
And the reason why I say this is the more that we experience and the more that we capture, it creates more and more questions. And I really do believe that we may never, in our lifetimes, have the answers that we're looking for. But little pieces, piece by piece that we're finding, it's really incredible, and it is a great experience to be a part of. As far as research, but it is important I do believe that it's very important to write these books and to share things. What if in the future the internet crashes and there is no more internet? We'll be going back to books, and I love books. I think books are very important to me, and so yeah, that's what I believe.
So let me ask you, what happens after we die?
We step about 12 inches over from where we are right now. I don't believe we go up in the sky. I don't believe we go in the ground. I believe that other realm is right here, right next to us. And the main reason why I think that is when I do go to locations, I capture so many things. Why am I capturing them? Because I think that these spirits are not that far away from where I am at that location. And can spirits travel? Absolutely. My younger brother passed away in 2000 up in New Hampshire. And when I bought my little farm in Tennessee, when I first bought it in 2006, actually, me and my older brother were outside working, and I took a picture of him, and in the window looking out at me, I captured my brother, my younger brother, looking at us, and it was fascinating, and it blew us away. So, can spirits travel? Absolutely. Can they stay spirit bound in locations if they want to, or if they don't know that they're dead and that they're still in the place where they passed away? I just think that after all this research, even from the 1800s when the first people started really studying the paranormal more, till today, we don't have that many more answers. Technology-wise, we have a lot, and digital technology, when that came out, that really helped us to record more as far as that. And who knows what the future holds? Maybe we'll get even better types of equipment, but I think we're pretty much there as far as cameras and thermal, and I can't think of anything that we don't have to use properly to connect with spirit. So, but yeah, I don't know. And maybe it's part of the mystery that we never really know the full facts. So,
No, absolutely. I mean, besides the sensors aboard the Starship Enterprise, tricorders or something that can record. But no, I'm right with you there. So,
yeah.
Let's talk the Heritage Hunters' journey through the past. What inspired you to create that documentary series?
Thank you for asking. Well, I had all this evidence over the years, and I couldn't find a proper place to share it. I didn't want to put it just on YouTube. I didn't want to put it on Facebook because dealing with all the experts and the armchair bandits and all these nasty people trashing things, I wanted to find a place that I could share it properly. And so I decided to come up with Journey Through the Past. I figured it was a good title for what I was doing as far as history, to be able to step back in time and to see what I've captured. And so I created that and started the series. I'm a plumbing contractor by trade. I have been making films and things since high school. I was in film classes and love film, love video, love music and concerts and things like that. So I wanted to find a place where I could make a series that was really for investigators. Of course, it's for the public too to enjoy, but I really wanted to make a documentary where seasoned core investigators would be able to appreciate real documentaries and real evidence and see other researchers working together. And that's kind of why I put it together. And I started on Prime. Prime is very hard to get your things onto. There's a lot of restrictions. And so I did Prime for a little bit. Maybe eventually when I finish my next 3 episodes, I'll make a whole series and then put it back on there. But it's really hard to get approved onto there. So I made the YouTube channel, Journey Through the Past TV, to share for now people that want to see real documentaries on the paranormal, on what I've captured over the years. And I don't like putting out things where people just stand around in the dark with the IR lights on. To me, that's very boring. I don't want to sit there and watch a lot of investigating. And I love film, and I love color, and I love music. So I make sure I incorporate all the music that's in my episodes was created by either friends or professional musicians that made the music for me. And so I've incorporated the music and just love to share it that way. So I love Ken Burns. He's one of my favorite film guys, and so I've always tried to follow his path as far as what I do.
Is there a particular episode that you're especially proud of?
Out of my 3 that are out right now, Tom Dooley, the ghost of Tom Dooley, is really a fascinating folklore case that was here in North Carolina in the 1860s. It was a lover's triangle murder mystery, and it was a true story. And we actually, it was this young fellow, Tom Dooley, was involved with 3 cousins. And, he was in a small community, so everybody pretty much stayed in those communities and bothered with folks, that were local. And he was involved with one of the cousins for a long time. And then he got involved with the other cousin. And next thing you know, she was murdered. And they found her in a shallow grave a few weeks later. And so the mystery has always been here in North Carolina, who killed Laura Foster. And there's been a famous song written by the Kingston Trio back in 1959 that was out there all about his life. And so I have a good friend who's a historian at the jail where Tom and Ann Milton were held for about 6 months for the murder of this case. And we actually did get a recording. We spent about 3 years working at the jail, different times, and we asked who killed Laura Foster. And we do have a man telling us who killed her, and we have it on recording. So very interesting, and yeah, I'm very proud of that one.
Wow.
Because that's can we prove the speculation of who did this? most people do know who did it, but to have a ghost telling us is really pretty incredible.
So, let's ask this question. Here's the big one. I would say your favorite location, case, investigation wrapped up into one. What is it?
Actually, I love all the cases that I've done. It's blessed to go to these places, but I love to find different types of locations, like doing the Wilkesboro Jail and the Country Squire Inn, which was my first episode. But the one I'm working on right now, and it's going to be released soon, is the Henry River Mill Village, which was a cotton mill village. It's actually the backdrop for the Hunger Games movie. They did a lot of filming there for the Hunger Games. And it started in 1900 and went to the mid-70s when the mill burned down. And the village has been there all these years, and the homes are still there. And we heard that it was haunted over the years. And so I actually invited 11 other guests besides myself, and we took on the entire village for one night. And we covered the entire village, and we investigated, and we captured a lot of really good recordings, had different experiences, and just to step back in time and to go to a mill village like this was really fascinating. There's a ton of history to the place as well.
Nice. So last question before we begin the Unholy Fire. After nearly 5 decades of searching for answers, what is it that keeps you motivated to continue your journey investigating the paranormal?
My answer is that the spirits connect to me so well, and that I get these great recordings. People don't believe. I mean, we'll go into a location, and the majority of nights I'll get between 20 and 30 recordings on different locations. And so my fascination is they must really like me to want to communicate with me, but I'm fascinated to communicate with the spirits and see what their message is and how I can. One of my best questions I always ask the spirits is, please give me a message so I can share it with your family. And I usually always get a good response because that's not your typical question. So I just love to communicate with the spirits, and I go in very quietly, and I just go in blank. I don't keep a lot in my mind. I just let, like a blank slate, and just go in quietly, and I love to communicate with them. I actually love communicating with them more than the living. So,
Nice.
So a lot less drama, stress.
Nice.
Yeah.
I would agree. Well, now it's time for the Unholy Fire.
Okay, here we go. I'm ready.
All right, so you know the rules. 1-word answers only. The first thing that comes to mind, no explanations. Here we go. Ghosts.
Real.
Demons.
Not so real.
EVP.
Love them.
Reel to reel.
Love them.
Haunted.
Yes. Many places.
Cemetery.
Love them.
Skeptic.
Very important.
Shadow person.
Absolutely.
History.
Love it.
Medium.
Not so much.
Bigfoot.
50-50.
Alien.
Definitely.
Evidence.
Definitely.
Fear.
Not so much.
Afterlife.
Yes.
Exorcism.
So-so.
Haunted frequencies.
Love them.
Truth.
Absolutely.
North Carolina.
Love it.
And unholy.
Love it.
So Michael, you've got through the Unholy Fire perfectly. So Before we wrap up, where can listeners find Heritage Hunters' Journey Through the Past, the Haunted Frequencies, and follow your work online? Where is that?
Yes, sir. Thanks again for having me on. I really appreciate it. You can find Journey Through the Past on Prime TV, as well as Journey Through the Past TV YouTube channel. You can find me, Michael LaCiana, on Facebook as well. And Haunted Frequencies is also on YouTube. And you can hear my different stories and the different recordings I share with the folks. So please check it out.
Absolutely. Michael, thank you so much for joining us tonight and sharing your remarkable journey. It's nearly 5 decades. That blows my mind. 5 decades of paranormal investigation. It has been my pleasure and honor, sir, to have you on the show.
Thank you. My pleasure, too. Really nice meeting you.
It's been great. And thanks to all the listeners and viewers out there joining us for another episode. Be sure to follow the Unholy Podcast on your favorite podcast platform. Subscribe for future episodes, investigations, investigators, researchers, experiencers, authors, psychics, and voices from across the paranormal world. And don't forget to tune in to the Unholy Broadcast. Now, this is my live radio show where we explore the unexplained, take listeners' calls, and dive even deeper into the mysteries surrounding us. You can learn more about me, learn more about my books, learn more about upcoming appearances, media projects at authorDougOwen.com. Until next time, as I say, dear viewers, dear listeners, stay safe, be aware, and beware, because sometimes the silence is the most terrifying thing.
You've just heard another chilling chapter of the Unholy Podcast, hosted by Doug Owen, author, investigator, and witness to the things most fear to name. For more real stories, cursed objects, and exclusive content, step deeper into the dark at authorDougOwen.com. Subscribe, share, and remember, some silences aren't empty, they're waiting.